Good morning, good afternoon and good evening, and thank you for joining me here again on the Mythical Vaper channel. Today what we're going to be doing is running through a quick recipe for DIY e-liquid. It's not going to have any of the mass amount of theory, anything like that, just it's going to be me making a bottle of e-liquid, going through explaining a couple of tips and pointers. So what that means is if you at home have got your kit and you're not 100% sure on how to do it, follow this and you will get a decent result on your DIY e-liquid, and I'll be doing a future video with more in-depth theory of DIY e-liquid so that you can make better, more complex recipes in the future. But for now, as with everything, as soon as you open it, what you want to do is you want to get started. So I'm going to show you how you can just open it, make a recipe and go from there. So without further ado, we'll just jump straight in and I will go through. So what I've done for this is I have bought the Mythical Vapers mixing kit, which comes with the bases I need, which is my propylene glycol and my vegetable glycerin. The nicotine, I've chosen it in a VG base, but an option of PG or VG based nicotine, flavour concentrates and a mixing kit. So the kit itself isn't massively extensive. It doesn't have mixing jars. You don't need massive mixing jugs or anything like that. You can use them if you wish, but the way I tend to do it is by syringe, out of a bottle into my final bottle that I'll have, mix it up in there. If you're doing litres and litres, then probably you would want little mixing basins and things like that, but it's not essential to making e-liquid for personal use, I wouldn't say in the slightest really. So I've got everything out that I need for this project from that kit. So what I'll need is my two bases. I've got 100 millilitres of each, that's of propylene glycol and a vegetable glycerin. 100 ml, easily enough to make lots and lots and lots of e-liquid. Minimum 200 ml. Obviously once you add in the flavourings, nicotine, everything like that, you get a bit more. That's not too bad. I also got 50 ml of 72 milligram vegetable glycerin nicotine. So what that is nicotine submersed in vegetable glycerin, ready to be added to the liquid. You only really use a very small amount of this, so 50 ml is probably a bit excessive on my part. This will last me ages, so I won't need to buy any for a while. And I also got 4 concentrates, so the ones I've chosen are all from Capella, the flavours that I tend to go for mainly. I do also go for Flavour West and a couple of other brands out there for concentrates. The ones I've got today are strawberry, peppermint, cherry and energy drink, and I'm probably going to start by making a strawberry vape just to start with. I might make 2 or 3, but on camera at least, you at least get me getting 1. So what I'll do is I'll start making the strawberry one first. I also need an empty bottle, which they do provide. It comes with a bottle, a lid and the cap that just plops in the top, and syringes and a blunt needle. So the blunt needle is so that I can actually get the liquid from the bottles, because they are quite thin topped, as you might be able to see there. So you won't necessarily be able to get the end of a syringe in there, so you will need a needle to pull that out. So the syringes I'm going to be using today, I'm going to be using a 10ml, 2 10mls, and I've got a 20ml just in case. Probably won't need a 20ml, I tend to use that more if I'm making my own e-liquid in bulk. So what I tend to do is make a 5 or 10ml bottle first. Decide if you like the recipe. If you do, then make a larger amount, because what you don't want to do is put all of your concentrate, all of your nicotine effort into everything you want, make 2 litres of it to then find out that it actually tastes like crap. So we're going to avoid that, and I have already made a strawberry with Capella concentrate, so I know the ratio that I'm going to use. I'll let you know, and obviously if you want to try it, give it a go. Right, so the needles and the syringes should come in vacuum packs. I've already removed the vacuum pack from my needle, but the syringes, they come in casing like that. They are primarily used as one use. They are sold as one use syringes. The reason that isn't because they can't clean effectively, it's because most places that use them, it's cheaper just to buy them and bin them rather than go through the effect of disc cleaning them and things like that. So if this was used in a hospital, obviously the amount of cleaning and disinfecting that would go into clearing that is a lot more than the cost of just buying another one. The main problem we have is we can rinse them out with using it for DIY. It's no problem for ourselves as long as we're using it for the same sort of thing. You don't start using it for other chemicals. As long as you only use it for your DIY, you should be fine. I just wash it out with water every so often, and then once every couple of weeks I probably do a deep clean where I just put it into hot soapy water, rinse it about a bit, and then clear it off with clear water, let it dry out. What I would suggest is, one thing with these is depending on the syringe you get, because there are different types, you'll notice that the markings are actually just painted on rather than engraved into it. If that is the case, what I would suggest is just getting some sellotape or something like that, wrap it round the numbers, and what that will do is that will protect it from when you're moving it around with the water, because what will slowly happen is it will start to smear off, and then you'll obviously not have accurate readings. So that, I hope, makes sense. But yeah, I'll just say wrap a little bit of tape around it. That will keep that secure, keep it in place and keep it well. So besides that, that's really all you need to get going. The only other thing is a recipe, which once it goes down to the table I will show you. We'll get that all sorted and we'll go through and just make some e-liquid. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you've stuck with me. If you wouldn't mind liking, commenting and subscribing, I'd be grateful. And it's time to go to the table. Right, so here we go. So what I'm going to be doing today is making a 10ml bottle of strawberry e-liquid. I'm going to be doing a 50-50 ratio of PG and VG, and I'm also going to be doing it at a nicotine strength of 7 milligrams. The idea of this is so that if I put it in a mouth-to-lung device like the one that I reviewed previously, it will still give me enough of a throat hit so that I can vape it, but it is low enough under the 10ml that I find too harsh to actually lung hit, so I'll be able to put this in either device if I want. Here's the recipe. So the recipe I'm using is going to be a 50-50 mix of VG-PG with a 7 milligram nicotine and with a flavour ratio of 15%. That's what I found with this flavour to work quite nicely. So the recipe itself is 3.5 milligrams of propylene, 3.5 millilitres of propylene glycol, 4 millilitres of vegetable glycerin, 1 milliliter of nicotine, and 1.5 millilitres of my chosen flavour, which will be strawberry in this case. So we're going to follow that recipe. That, as I said before, I think there are hundreds of different e-liquid calculators that you can use. Most of them are pretty much the same. So you don't really have to worry. What I will also do, as I said in a future video, is do a theory video which will teach you how to actually design the recipes without the use of a calculator, and you'll actually have a bit more of an in-depth knowledge on how it works so that you can tweak and twist your recipes a little bit more. So first off, what I tend to do is I always put the nicotine in last. Main reason for that is all of the rest of it is not really that harmful. If I make the bottle of e-liquid and all I've got to do is put the nicotine in and I spill it, it's fine, it can just be wiped up. If I spill the nicotine, even though it will be in such a low concentrate, it doesn't really matter. I'd rather not risk the nicotine going everywhere, as it is a harmful substance. As well as, if I knock the actual bottle over, that is the more expensive part, is the nicotine. The nicotine is mainly the expense for this. So because of that, compared to the rest of it, that is the most expensive, so I'll save that to last to avoid the risk of mixing anything up. And if I balls up the recipe, it means I can throw it away and I'm not wasting my nicotine. Right, so what I'm going to be doing is using my 10ml syringe. I'm going to use that on both the vegetable glycerin and the propylene glycol, and as well as the flavour concentrate. I'm going to rinse it between each use. I'm then going to use my second 10ml syringe for my nicotine. The reason I'm going to do that is if I have a nicotine syringe, I want to keep it just for nicotine itself. Mainly because I don't want any cross-contamination of my nicotine into any concentrates or anything like that. That's just personal preference. I might be being stupid, but there we go. It's just what I prefer to do. You may not want to. You may only want to use one syringe for the whole thing and not clean it. That's entirely up to you. So first off, I'm going to use the vegetable glycerin. This is the thicker of the two. So if you get multiple needle gauges, when you get a kit, if you get different size needles, I would suggest using the thicker one that you've got for your vegetable glycerin. This is because it does take a while to suck up through the syringe, especially if you're using a very small needled syringe. The bottle itself does come with a squidgy bottle cap, so if you were to do it by drops, you could do. There are certain websites and certain calculators that will convert it into drops for you, so it will say for 1 ml use 10 drops, for example. I don't know if that's right. And then you could do it like that. However, I don't feel a drop is an accurate measurement. I don't think you should measure by drops. I'd rather use an accurate measurement by using a syringe. However, it is entirely up to you. If you're happy to do that, you have the facilities to do that. I'm just going to remove the cap with this pair of pliers. And we got that there. So for my vegetable glycerin, I need 4 ml. So all I'm going to do is literally stick a syringe in, rest it here, do it like this, and then pull that up. So what you do, as I said, the vegetable glycerin itself can be quite annoying to get out because it is thicker. Apologies, my laptop's having a bit of a paddy. So it is a little bit thicker, and so it does take a little while to get it up the tube. And I've gone a little bit over there, so back down to the 4ml. So as you can see, that's all there, and all we do, just pop that into the tube, into the bottle, squelch all that in there, and then I always do a couple little extra pushes just to make sure we get all of it out, because where it is so thick it can stick on the inside of the tube a little bit. Then what you want to do is rinse it in water, just give it a swish. Bubbles means clean, and we'll spray that in there. And there we go. So now we'll just do it a little bit, and there we go. The syringe is now clean, so we can move on to our next thing. So I'm going to bottle up my vegetable glycerin, because we don't want to spill that and get that everywhere. And now onto the propylene glycol. So exact same thing. You will notice though that the propylene glycol does fill the tube a lot quicker. So if I do it hopefully on camera here, you'll see. So I want 3.5ml this time. So I'm just going to stick that in, pull it up, and there we go, it's done. That's 3.5ml. So you'll notice the time difference there. Then what we'll do is add that to our bottle. Again, give it a couple of things just to make sure it's all out, and give it a rinse. So now we're going to go on to the flavour. So for the flavour, as I said, I'm going to be using strawberry, and I'm going to be using a 1.5ml of strawberry, and that is 15% ratio for this. So I will just quickly pop that open, so that's there. And I'll measure my 1.5. And then just pop that in. Again, these concentrates are in propylene glycol, so that again makes them just as easy to pull up as the propylene glycol from the bottle. Makes it a lot quicker and a lot easier. It's the only problem I've got with vegetable glycerin is when you're trying to make your own e-liquid, you can be there for ages just pulling teeth, trying to get the vegetable glycerin to go up the syringe. Obviously the wider the syringe needle, the quicker it will go up. I tend to only use these ones, which I think are 14 or 18 gauge. These are the ones I've got available, so they're the reason I use them. But it can be annoying and tedious sometimes. The same thing will happen with the nicotine that I've got, because it is suspended in vegetable glycerin. And then we've got to do 1 milliliter of nicotine, so we'll just pop that off. At this point, what I would suggest is using gloves, just in case, only because nicotine can be absorbed through your skin. I'm not, mainly because I forgot to pick my gloves up when I started this video, so I'm not going to be doing it now. So just pop the syringe in, suck up 1ml. I always tend to go a little bit over, and then go back down to the right amount, just to make sure I've got everything that I want. And then we're going to pop that in, and there we go. That is essentially all of the mixing and everything I need to do for my liquid done. That is not currently, I would say, at a vaporable state, because as you'll see when I hold it up, and if I can get my camera into focus, so as you can see from that, hopefully, it has actually layered rather than mixing. This is because the different densities of propylene glycol and vegetable glycerin. Easy way that I resolve that, there's a couple of methods you can use. One that does tend to work quite well is the syringe and mix method, which I will show you now. Which is essentially easiest thing in the world. If you're making 10-20ml, if you've got making e-liquid the same as the size as you've got a syringe, all you have to do, pop the syringe in, stick it all the way to the bottom, and fill it up as best you can. You'll notice that it will go in stages because the propylene glycol, it will be at the top, so it will go slow, and then when you start getting that propylene glycol, it will go a lot quicker. Just pull all that into the syringe, or as much of it as you can get, and then just push it back into the bottle. And just rinse and repeat, do that a couple of times, and it will start to mix quite nicely, because what is happening is as you're pushing it all through the syringe, and the air is making it mix nicely and into the bottle. And you'll notice with each repetition it actually gets easier to suck the liquid up into the bottle. That's because the PG is mixing with the VG, thus making it less thick than the vegetable glycerin itself. The other good thing is to enhance the flavour and to make it quicker to generate the appropriate flavour that we want. We need lots of air into this. So what I do is suck up a little bit of air, push it in, and then just mix it like that. That is one method. Obviously, the other simpler method, well, possibly simpler, but I would say takes more energy, is the simple cap and shake, which all you want to do, pop your caps on, hold it tight, give it a shake. That will mix it up just as well. Most bottles do tend to be a little bit over, so if it's a 10ml bottle, you'll probably find out that there is room for 15ml in there. What that does is give you the air bubble, as you can see, or you'll notice on many of your e-liquids. This will help, you can mix that in, and it will make the flavour itself bring it out better during the steeping, which we're going to go on to now. Right, so once you've mixed it, nice and simple, the last step is just steeping, which is essentially as the brewing, leaving the flavour to ferment and get stronger. So all I do is just leave the bottle off, leave the cap off the bottle. That will let air in every so often, like once a day or so. Just go and give it a little squeeze, just let old air out, fresh air in, and then after a couple of days that will be prime and vapeable. You could vape it now, it's just you would get a slightly chemically sort of taste from the concentrate until it's settled and mixed in properly. But besides that, you are essentially done. What I would suggest, if you're trying to work out and you haven't done a flavour that you like before or something like that, I would always say make small bottles, so 5-10ml, and I'd always say make 1 or 2. Benefit for this is if you wanted, you can try it straight away, see what it's like, or you can leave them to steep at different points. So you can put it in the cupboard, leave it for a couple of days, and then after 3 days you go, oh, that tastes good, you've tried it and it tastes nice. You can take that one out while leaving the other one in there. Then you can come back after 2 more days, it's been 5 days or whatever like that, try that one, go, oh, that one's even better, it's had longer to steep, so you know for future to leave that flavour for longer to steep. Each flavour does have different amount of steeping time. If you search online, you'll find loads of things on forums about which flavours are best to leave for what times, what matches up nicely. Or you can do what I like to do, which is just fiddle around and see what happens. I always find it's the best way to learn is just to do it and get it over and done with and see what happens. It may be good, it may be bad, you learn either way. So that's essentially that. We'll go back up to live screen and we'll do the giveaway. So there we go. Right, so thank you for staying with me. Today what we're going to be doing is the normal code reveal. I do want to apologise for last week when my video didn't happen and the week before when the code reveal didn't happen. Unfortunately, during recording of my video, the camera did stop working. I managed to get it in for repair and it seems to be fine now. Not quite sure what happened, but that is why I didn't have a video last week, so I do apologise for that. However, what we'll be doing now is the code reveal. For those of you who don't know, I'll be flipping over one card from each pile. The piles are for a discount period of time, and a range that it applies to. So without further ado, let's flip them over and get them sorted. So we have 15% off of all of the Origin range e-liquid at Mythical Vapors for the next 20 uses, not any period of time apparently. So what that means is that for the next 20 uses, regardless of time period, it could be up to a year if no one uses these, this discount will be applicable for the next 20 people who use it. The code's appearing on screen now. Just enter that in and you will get 15% off of the Origin range for the next 20 people who can get on there and use that code. So I hope you get what you need. I do apologise if you're not one of the lucky 20 that get in for this discount. I hope you got this video early enough to get in, and we will see you next week. Thank you and goodbye.